necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
It's time to hit the pick. Touchdown! Sports betting, fantasy football, and the latest NFL news. Featuring Lau Desmond and Christian Giordani. Bet on us to make you a better bettor. What? It's time to hit the pick.
Welcome back to Hit the Pick, everyone. I'm Christian Giordani. Alongside him, we have Lau Desmond, co-founder of HitThePick.com. And if you go to HitThePick.com, we have special offers going right now for the basketball championship picks. Only $30. All cappers do championship games. And if you want an all-in package, it only rounds up to $99. Loud, how are you doing today?
I'm good. In addition to that, I'm a football expert. That's my main sport. And I watch this spring league very closely. And I am giving away every UFL pick for the whole season. They're all free. All you've got to do is go to hitthepick.com. You'll get my full breakdowns. I have the picks listed as free. They're not behind a paywall. You've just got to go to my picks and you'll see a pick for every UFL game for the whole season. And I bet the picks myself. I've got my tickets from Little Creek Casino Sportsbook, which is where I go. Because in Washington State, it's legal only inside an actual Native American casino. You have to physically be at a sports book. A little more inconvenient, but it's old school, man. Actually go into a place, hand somebody your money, make a pick, talk about the games. It's the way I've been doing it for 35 years. That's old school. Now, there are kiosks and that sort of thing as well, but I like walking up to a window and giving a real person my money and talking it over. Quickly, the most challenging game to handicap for the whole weekend in the UFL is this game right now. The Stallions taking on the Michigan Panthers. The Panthers won last week. They beat the Showboats 24-6. Now, I can't put a lot of stock in them beating the Showboats because the Showboats and the Roughnecks are obviously the two worst teams in the UFL, and it's not close. They are really bad. Then you have the Stallions, who were favored by a touchdown to beat the DC Defenders, and they were the short price to win the whole thing at plus 200 on the season for the championship, and they got beat bad by the Defenders. They looked terrible, especially the DC Defenders defense just ruined their game. I mean, Alex McGough, who's supposed to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league, looked terrible. He got sacked a bunch of times. Really, the only thing he did well was running. I don't know if he completed 5 passes in that game that were worth anything. So hard to say. So I'm not picking a side in this game. I'm going over 38.5 in this game. Now, that's a big total for the UFL. Usually it's closer to 37.5. I saw the Panthers score 24 points last week. I believe that the Stallions offense looked really bad against the Defenders because the Defenders have such a fantastic blitzing defense. And so I am going to count on them to be what they were projected to be, which is the top offense in the entire UFL. I think they're good for north of 30 points tonight. Give Michigan 21, 24, and there's your over.
Yeah, great pick for the week going ahead. The Stallions had a rough start to the season, but they're definitely able to pick it up going ahead. Long season ahead, and we'll see how the weekend turns out.
Yep. Right now, the Major Arena Soccer League Championships week has started. Tonight, you've got a doubleheader. You have the Chihuahua Savage. Am I saying that right?
I don't think so.
Says the guy with the Mexican girlfriend.
Yeah, it is the Chihuahua Savage.
Thank you. I like calling them the Chihuahua Sauvage because I think it sounds more highly cultured. But one more time, can we get the correct pronunciation, please?
The Chihuahua Savages.
Okay, the Chihuahua Savage are taking on the Los Angeles Ambush. And the over-under in that game was a high 15.5 goals. And I told everybody earlier in the week when I put out the free video on Thursday, take the under and take the Ambush plus 6.5. The reasoning is, okay, now this is really funny. What are they? The
Chihuahua Savages.
Yeah, whenever I say I'm going to just have you say the name of the team.
All right.
Okay, so the
Chihuahua Savages.
No, singular. One more time. The
Chihuahua Savages.
No, it's Savage. There's no S.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Chihuahua Savage.
Thank you. Not all of their players can come into the U.S. They have a number of their main players that can only play in Mexico because they can't get a work visa in the United States. So when they come to play in the States, they're not the same team as they are when they play in Mexico. Now, when other teams go down to Mexico to play, they get destroyed. I've seen 19-2, 15-3. And so this game being over 15.5, if it was in Mexico, I'd be like, oh, yeah, they can do that. No. And St. Louis, man, they played good down the stretch. So in this game, I did the video on Wednesday, and I said, hey, it's it would be the
Chihuahua Savage
plus. I'm sorry, the
Chihuahua Savage
would not cover the 6.5 goals against the St. Louis Ambush.
Well,
so,
the great thing about this playoffs is that no one really has home field advantage. Everyone's going to be playing the first 2 rounds in the new arena down in San Diego.
Well, now the Empire Strikers, my team, and the Inland Empire's team, the Empire team, who play in the Toyota Arena in Ontario, are playing the San Diego Sockers tonight at 7:30. That is the Sockers home stadium. So there is one team that has home field advantage. It's a disadvantage to everybody else. I hope you still have time. It's only 10 after 5. That game doesn't kick off till 7:30. There's plenty of tickets still available. If you want to go see the Empire Strikers tonight, go down to Oceanside. It's going to be a great time. And it's being nationally televised. It's going to be great. In that game, it is the odds on the money line favor the Sockers, obviously. On the goal line, you have plus 1.5 for Empire. Yeah, I'm not picking a side in this game, but I do like this. Hang on just a second. I have scrambled my notes. Say something intelligent while I look for my picks, please.
Well, the one thing I will say about this game going ahead, the San Diego Sockers were one of the highest leading scoring teams in the MSL last year. And the Empire Strikers had some very chippy goalkeeping work with Brian Orozco having a difficult time adjusting to the indoor game still. And veteran goalkeepers trying not having the step that they can keep up. So whatever the over is in this game, I highly recommend it.
Over 11.5 goals for the game is my play. That's for the Empire Strikers and San Diego Sockers. You're absolutely right, Christian. Both those teams are going to score, I believe. Now, what's bizarre is we're 3 minutes into the second half, and it's 0-0. St. Louis and the
Chihuahua Savage.
Yes, it's 0-0 going into the second half. So that under 15.5 play is looking freaking great. And so is St. Louis plus 6.5 in that game. So if you had caught my free video on Wednesday, you would love it. All right. The Birmingham Stallions have already moved almost into red zone. They're down to about the 27-yard line in a couple of plays, as that game has just kicked off a few minutes ago. I want to see a touchdown right here and a 2-point extra point. I'd love to see 8 points on the board 3 minutes into the game. That would look great for my over. Just saying.
Yes, it would.
Right. Let's talk about let's talk about now. One of the fun things I love about the UFL is seeing players either be born or resurrected. And what I mean by that, their careers, right? Like Alex Magoo, he came out of nowhere a couple of years ago. He ended up on the Green Bay Packers after his second season in the UFL. Didn't stick, but he got a contract at the NFL level. There have been some players that have had some experience in the NFL and have come back to the UFL and played well and got back to the NFL. One guy I'm watching he's running back, Arlington Renegades. He's kind of a poor man's Derrick Henry. 6'4", 235 pounds. His name is Kalen Ballage. He was a 4th-round draft pick for the Miami Dolphins a few years ago. Bounced around the league after one season with the Dolphins. Washed out. Last week, he put on a show, man. He had a 77-yard touchdown where he face-planted a couple of defenders on the way to the goal line. He ended up with an average of more than 10 yards per carry in the game. Dude, 10 yards plus per carry. Hello.
Wow.
And the thing that I loved about him is after the game, he's being interviewed and they were asking about his performance. And he said, "Did you see my block on that goal line play?" He said, "That guy didn't want any of that smoke from me." He was proudest in the whole game about a block.
You gotta love guys like that on your locker room.
Yeah. Oh my God. So good. So good. So he's with the Arlington Renegades, obviously, as I just said. Love watching him. The Renegades, of course, ran away in their game last week. Now, you've got the Roughnecks and the Renegades playing. This game, I had it picked at minus 8.5 earlier in the week. You know what the line is now?
What is the line?
It was 10.5 last time I checked. It was. I went in to place my bets at Little Creek Casino on Wednesday night, and from Monday to Wednesday, that line had moved 2 points, 8.5 to 10.5. 10.5 is too many points for me in the second week of the UFL. I'm sorry. The UFL in the first few weeks can kind of be a box of chocolates, Christian.
Yeah, the greatest comparison I think I can make to it is it's minor A ball. You know, you never really know what you're gonna get going into the early weeks of the year.
And so, yeah, we saw a great performance from Arlington, and the Roughnecks are probably the worst team in the league, if not the Showboats. But it's a one-game snapshot in a league where sometimes those early weeks are really deceiving. Now, is Arlington going to lose this game? No, I really doubt it. But are they going to cover 10.5, especially with the crazy rules that the UFL has at the end of the game? Now, get this. In the UFL, if you are down by more than a touchdown and you score a touchdown in the last 2 minutes, you can keep the ball, go back to your 30-yard line, and try for a 4th and 20 play.
To get back possession.
To keep possession.
Wow, that is an insane rule to have in a league like that.
So, I mean, I have been up by like 14 points and had I've got to win by like 8.5. And they score a touchdown and then they get the ball back. And then even though they don't end up converting again, they run the clock out because they kept the ball. And so it screws with the way that you think in your mind about how safe you are at a certain point when you're up by a certain amount of points and there's X amount of time left. What would be a lock in the NFL, what would be a lock in college football at that point is not a lock in the XFL, especially because you can go for 3 on a conversion from a touchdown.
Wow.
If you want to go for 1, you go from the 2. And there's no kicking. So you have to run it in or throw it in from the 2 to get 1 point. From the 5, you get 2 points. From the 10, you get 3. So what I've seen at the end of UFL games is, you think you're safe. This team scores a garbage time touchdown. They're never going to score 3. And then they go from the 10, try to score 3. There's a pass interference penalty in the end zone. They get the ball at the 1, and then they run it in. And now they get 3 points, and now you just took a really bad beat. So, the UFL, watch yourself, everybody. These games are fun to bet on. Don't bet the house. Where was I?
You were just screaming how great the UFL is.
Oh, yeah, Brahmas and Battlehawks. That's the next game I want to pick. Okay, so this game, the Battlehawks nearly set a record for the total number of yards gained with 460 in their game last week. Now, again, they played a crappy team, right? They played the Roughnecks. The Roughnecks are terrible. They beat them 31-6. They only trailed the most yards scored in a game by 6 yards. They logged 273 rushing yards in the game, setting a UFL record, and they did it running back by committee. There were 3 or 4 guys that ran the ball, and nobody ran off like an 80-yard touchdown or anything. They just sort of spread it around, which tells me it's not a running back.
It's the
offensive line.
Exactly.
And if you've got an offensive line that is that dominant, Birmingham had to settle for a field goal. Damn it. 3-0 Birmingham with 10 minutes left in the first quarter. Look, I thought the Battlehawks were going to take a step back because A.J. McCarron got ran off, who was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. By the way, hot wife. My goodness. Bruce Gradkowski, who was their offensive coordinator, who used to be a quarterback for the lowly Raiders, also is gone. You know where he is the offensive coordinator now, Christian?
Tell me.
Detroit Lions.
Wow.
So you lose that quality, and I thought, the Battlehawks are going to take a step back. Guess what? They played better. And the passing game is always kind of fickle. You can't count on it. Their offensive line is going to punish people game in and game out. And so when a team can run the ball dominantly and play defense, that's an easy team to bet on. So I've got the Battlehawks crushing the Brahmas. It's only -7. I think that's the easiest cover of the weekend.
That's a great pick for you, Loud.
Final game. Go ahead. Final game in the UFL, I'm picking the DC Defenders. I talked about how great their defense looked. They are playing the Showboats, who only managed to score 6 points in their opening game. They're awful. And by the way, the Defenders scored 18 points. They scored 3 touchdowns. But you know what they never did? They never converted an extra point. And I talked about how in the UFL, you can go from the 2, go from the 5. They went from the 2 once. They went from the 5 twice. Their offense stinks. They score points. They scored points against Birmingham because they would put Birmingham in such an awful position. And then they'd have a short field, and they scored. And the fact is, Birmingham's defense was on the field the whole freaking game and just got, worn out. The Showboats may not score in this game against the Defenders. I don't trust the Defenders to score 30-something points. This total is under 37 in that game. Showboats, Defenders, under 37. All right, there's your 4 UFL picks for this weekend and 2 MASL picks for tonight. Let's talk some NFL football, shall we?
Let's get into some NFL football. A lot of quarterbacks in different places right now. But let's talk about your former team, the Las Vegas Raiders. They traded for veteran quarterback Geno Smith from the Seattle Seahawks, and they just extended him to a 2-year, $75 million extension. Loud, what does that tell you for the Raiders' state of mind and their competitiveness and what they think of Geno Smith?
By the way, 6:31 left in the third period, and the Savage have gone up 1-0. I wish the Raiders success. I really do. I left being a fan of the Raiders, and it's like I didn't really leave the Raiders. The Raiders left me. Okay, I mean they just wore me out with bad decision after bad decision. And then when they ran off my favorite player, Derek Carr, I'm a guy who believes a lot in loyalty, Christian. And, when you have a guy, Derek Carr, who's been nothing but a loyal soldier, did everything he can for the team, everything he's ever asked for, and you run him off, that was it. Straw broke the camel's back. I'm now a fan of the Saints, where I followed Derek Carr too. Okay, all that being said, look, I got a lot of good friends that are Raiders fans. The league is more fun when the Raiders are relevant. If they're smart, they should realize that they are not 1 year away from being competitive. They're not 2 years away from being competitive. They're 3 or 4 years from mattering. And so, if I was the Raiders management, of course, Ryan Cape jumps in, Derek Carr is overrated. All right, thank you for that. If I was Raiders management, I would get a placeholder quarterback, and I would trade back in the draft. I would stockpile draft picks for the next 2 years. I would build my offensive line, my defensive line, and be selectively aggressive about reaching for talent and try to build the team from the inside out. Offensive line, defensive line, knowing that Geno Smith can keep you competitive and you could build a team. And then when you've got the team built, then you go draft your quarterback. I hope that's their plan.
Well, right now, the Raiders are looking to be competitive. They just extended Max Crosby as the highest paid non-quarterback in football.
I disagree with you in terms of what that move is about. That move is not about winning games in the short term. That move is about preserving a culture. Max Crosby is a throwback. He's the Lyle Alzado. He's the Howie Long. He's the Jack Tatum, call me assassin kind of player that represents the Raiders culture. And I think he's a fan favorite, and you had to extend Mad Max for cultural reasons. Now, I really hope their plan is to not take Shedeur Sanders at 6, but to trade back with a team like Pittsburgh, let them take Shedeur, or somebody else who really wants him and say, great, give me your first round this year, give me your 1 and 2 next year, and you can have him. I hope that's their plan, because them taking a quarterback in the first round would be incredibly stupid.
I don't even know if Shedeur would fall to them. They own the 6th pick right now. Tennessee has the first, Cleveland has the second.
All right, so that's Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. You can argue Abdul Carter for the second one, but Cleveland might be going after quarterback. But let's just say they skip out.
No, Cleveland is going to go defense.
Okay. New York, you don't think they'll get Shedeur to sit by Russell?
Travis Hunter.
Okay, Travis Hunter. 4th, New England.
They've got their quarterback.
Yeah, they got their quarterback. Jacksonville, they have their quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think Shedeur is going to be there at 6 for the Raiders. I hope they don't take him. But
we'll see how that goes.
This brings us to the text that I sent you earlier today. Read the names of guys that are going to be starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
So here's the text Loud Esmond sent me earlier today. People are going to be starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Again, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Geno Smith. For this, I have to quote Jets QB from Bears, Ohio State, Justin Fields.
1 minute.
Aaron Rodgers, Cam Ward, and Shedeur Sanders. All these guys in new places.
Well, no, and also, I was just scratching the surface there. There's really about 10 or 12 great quarterbacks. And then there's like 10 or 12 kind of meh. And then there's a bunch of crap. I mean, honestly, it's a problem in the NFL, right?
Yeah, there's no middle ground guys. There's no for lack of better thing, there's no 2014 Joe Flacco's in the leagues anymore. But everyone, this has been Hit the Pick. We will see you guys next week for more UFL analysis and NFL breakdowns.